Hey guys, this is Eric Ward at CollectorMania here, just doing my Amonkhet Commander deck building challenge with Neheb the Worthy. Here you can see Neheb. He is a red, black, and a 1. He's a first striking 2/2. Other Minotaurs I control have first strike. As long as you have 1 or fewer cards in hand, Minotaurs I control get +2/+0, and whenever he deals damage to a player, everybody discards a card. Just trying to work off a tribal theme here. Some cheapening of spells, maybe some hand discard to get him online as soon as I can. We'll be doing a deck tech for everybody's deck, so we have Temet, Vizier of Noctamoon, we have Hapatra, Vizier of Poisons, and then Sumat as well, Voice of Dissent. So we'll be doing those deck techs with Steve, Seth, and Greg, and then doing our gameplay later this evening as well. So now that we've seen our commander, for me at least, we're going to move on to our creatures, going in converted mana cost order. First we have Gnarled Scarhide. Bestow creature, Minotaur himself, a 2/1 for 1 black, not too bad. Of course, with Bestow working, you can get him off of a dying creature, and he's not bad on his own. He can't block, but I'm not looking to block a whole lot in this deck. Next we have Anaba Ancestor. Target Minotaur gets +1/+1. Kind of wimpy for a 1/1 for 2, but not bad with that tap ability. And of course, we're looking to have Neheb online as much as we can to give +2/+0. Even if he's a 1/1 first striker that can pump himself, not bad. After that, we have Blood Rage Brawler. When he enters, discard a card for 2 for a 4/3, hopefully to help trigger Neheb as well to make him a 6/3. Not too bad, and a new one from Amonkhet. It's like they meant it to be. Next we have Deathbellow Raider. When he attacks each turn if able, and of course regenerate. Again, looking to hopefully be a 4/3 first striker with Neheb on the board, and maybe even better than that. After that we have Fellhide Brawler. Can't block unless I control a Minotaur. I'm looking to do that, and of course as a 2-drop, not too bad. Again, looking to be a 4/2. Next we have Minotaur Explorer. When he comes into play, sacrifice it unless you discard a card at random. Hopefully to help out trigger Neheb's ability there. Just trying to get my hand down as fast as I can, as far as playing early spells, discarding some early cards, that sort of thing. After that, we've got our first little mini lord here, of course the adaptive Otamatone. When he comes in, I'm going to choose Minotaur. Minotaurs get +1/+1, and this of course is a Minotaur, so he can benefit, well, will be a Minotaur, will benefit from Neheb's abilities there. We have a Cursed Minotaur Menace, looking to be a 5/2 Menace first strike if Neheb is online. And even if he's not, just a 3/2 first strike Menace. Next we have Fellhide Petrifier. Another great, kind of like mini lord here, giving a keyword to everybody. Of course he's got Death Touch as well. And another great target for some online Neheb action. Next we've got the Lord Shaman. When he comes into play, or when he's put into a graveyard, each player buries a land essentially. So my goal is swing away with this guy, threaten somebody with don't block this unless, and see if anybody bites. Next we've got Kragma Butcher. He's got Inspired, so he's going to be +2/+0 when he untaps, so a 4/3 on his own, hopefully with Neheb, a 6/3 first striking Minotaur there. Next we've got Minotaur Skull Cleaver Haste. When enters the battlefield, +2/+0 until end of turn. So again, a 4/2, maybe a 6/2 first striking Haste Minotaur for 3, not too bad. After that, Minotaur Sure Shot, another new one from Amonkhet. Reach for 3, a 2/3 with a pump ability, kind of maybe not expensive, but not too bad. Again, looking to be a first striking Reach Minotaur. You can see that a lot through all of these cards. We're just looking for that incremental bonus provided by the commander. Next we have Rageblood Shaman, Trample, another kind of like keyword lord, giving other Minotaurs plus and trample, not too bad. One of our first like cheapening spells, I guess, in the deck. We've got Ragemonger, looking to help me save on the black and red costs in my Minotaurs. And unfortunately can't help the colorless, but it saves my land for those colorless mana costs. Another not too bad one, try to keep him safe if he's out there. Next we've got one of the best Minotaurs around, Torian Mauler. If you play any tribal deck, I recommend looking at your colors Shapeshifters. They're good. I mean, Chameleon Colossus, you think, is some of the other ones, like, they're really, really good. And of course, if this guy is on the board, when somebody plays a spell, not me, when an opponent plays a spell, He gets a +1/+1 counter, so if he sits on the board for even 2 or 3 rounds of play, he might be an 8/8 or something. Then he can be a 8/8 or a 10/8 first striking Minotaur shapeshifter. So Torian Mauler, awesome card. Next we have Anaba Spirit Crafter. All Minotaurs get +1/+0. Not bad. Again, another mini lord from the old school Homeland set. Next we have Borderland Minotaur. One of the few kind of vanilla creatures, or vanilla Minotaurs. There's a lot that are 3/4s or 4/3s for 4. Like, normally if I'm playing a card that costs 4, I'm hoping it's going to be maybe a 3/3 with 1 keyword, or a 4/4 with no keywords. Here we've got, you know, he's about a half mana, maybe overcosted. Not too happy to keep him in, but he was one of the few that made the cut. There's a number of Minotaurs that are kind of on the fence as far as being overcosted, but with a +2/+0 and first strike, hopefully that'll make up for all those like less power toughness combo guys. Next we have Ember Minotaur, another one from Amonkhet. When he attacks, or when you exert, when he attacks, you can get +1/+1 and menace till end of turn. Not bad. Again, looking to trigger off our commander. Good old favorite from Theros block, Fanatic Ogas. When he comes in, count up your red devotion or all of your red mana costs in your permanents, and deal 1 damage to each of your opponents. So not bad. Another Minotaur, of course. Next we have Fellhide Spirit Binder. When he becomes untapped, I can pay a 1 and a red. If I would like, I could put a token into the battlefield that's a copy of another target creature. It gains haste, maybe, and then of course you sack it. Looking to maybe enchant copy some of my own Minotaurs, or see what some of my opponents can provide me as well. Another fun one here, we have Carplucin Minotaur. Cumulative upkeep. If you're not familiar with this, every turn you put a counter on this guy, and then you do the cumulative upkeep that number of times. So if he's got 3 counters on him, I'm going to flip 3 coins. If I win the flip, I can deal 1 damage to target creature. If I lose the flip, somebody else chooses to deal to a target creature or player of their choice. So kind of a goofy one. Neat to see a Minotaur back in Cold Snap. After that, another really powerful one for 4, Lord of Shadowsickle Pass. Not too bad on his own. Of course, he's a Minotaur. He's an all-star in my mono red deck. That's why I included him here. And then, of course, you can see at level 6, whenever he swings, he deals 6 damage to all creatures an opponent player, or the defending player controls. So, not too bad. Hopefully trying to hit somebody with his level up ability and wipe their board and then swing through with a bunch of Minotaurs. Next, another Amonkhet card. We have Merciless Javelin here. Kind of works with Neheb there. We've got a 2, discard a card, put a -1/-1 counter on a creature, and that creature cannot block this turn. So, kind of helping out here with my aggressive board, looking to, you know, avoid some blockers if I can, and then discarding my hand, hopefully to trigger Neheb's ability there. So definitely a cool one. Lucked out on that one in a pack. New foil there. Next we have Ogas God of Slaughter. Wish he was a Minotaur, but he's not. He certainly looks like one. But you know, great god from Born of the Gods. Of course, indestructible. Need devotion and red and black equal to 7. And at the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, Ogas deals 2 damage to that player unless they sacrifice a creature. So pretty strong. Hopefully be swinging with that guy a little bit, or at least just get that activated ability every turn. Next we have Untitled Champion. There is one other Minotaur ally that exists, but I wasn't too keen on putting him in. When he comes into play, other creatures I control gain trample, so kind of a finisher there. Again, a Minotaur, he could be a 6/3 with Neheb. After that, Oracle of Bones. Haste Tribute. When he goes to the battlefield, if Tribute wasn't paid, I can cast an instant or sorcery without paying his mana cost. Not too bad. Most of the instants and sorceries are kind of like, that was kind of where I focused the least in this deck. But if I could get a removal spell out of him, or maybe an extra combat step, that's probably the best option for him. But he's super cool. Just gotta cast him, and he's got haste. He's a little weak though, 3/1. First strike will help him out a little bit there, but we'll see. Another new one, Pitiless Vizier. When I cycle or discard, he gains indestructible end of turn. 4/2 for 4. Again, a little odd, but we're looking at a 6/2 first strike. Hopefully indestructible, we'll see. Next, we've got good old Solemn Simulacrum. Just a little bit of ramp, of course, and some draw. You know, threaten with a block here or there, that sort of thing. After that, we have Kragmaw Warcaller. Minotaurs have haste. Another kind of keyword lord there. And Minotaurs you control, when they attack it, +2/+0. So that's pretty good, because I'm probably going to be swinging with all my Minotaurs. So if we think about the pair of this Warcaller and Neheb, we've got +4/+0 first strike and haste on all Minotaurs. So definitely a pretty strong card there. Next we have War Chanter Ogas. Inspired, when he becomes untapped, target creature you control gains Intimidate. Not bad. Just a good keyword ability for a swinging deck. I think our last creature here in the highest convert mana cost in the deck, we have Minotaur Aggressor, kind of a greedy play, and you'll see why here in a little bit, or a greedy include rather. First strike haste, a little redundancy there if I've got my commander on the board, but we're looking to not cast him for 7. We're looking to cheat him out here early game with a few strategies, that sort of thing. Just a cool card from Return to Ravnica. Into artifacts. So first, of course, we couldn't have a Minotaur deck without a didgeridoo. 1 cost, so it's easy to dump out there early game. 3 to activate, so not bad. It does compete with the commander, but we're looking for later games or later turns to play this ability. Take a Minotaur from hand, put it directly into play as though you had just summoned it. So hopefully maybe have a haste keyword or maybe a haste Minotaur, and then we're swinging right off the bat. Next we have Elixir of Immortality, of course. It's a little bit of life gain. And then shuffling in your library, or your graveyard into your library late if you need it late game. Just a good include in pretty much any deck, I'd say. Soul Ring, again, another good include. Yeah, what could you say? Extra mana on next turns, I'm a huge fan of Armillary Sphere. Can search for up to 2 basic lands, put them in hand. I'm not sure on this. I normally run it in my monocolor decks and even my other decks, but the fact that you're sitting on the lands in your hand may not work too well with this commander, so I'll be interested to see. Next we have Dolman Gate. Prevent all damage to attacking creatures I control. Obviously good if my Minotaurs aren't as beefy as I think they are, or want to swing into something and maybe make some good trades with that Death Touch with the Petrifier. We'll see how this one plays out as well. Next we've got the Jet Medallion. Making black spells cost 1 less is a good idea in my opinion, just because there's a good amount of red and black. You'll see there's Ruby Medallion in here as well. If you run any monocolored commander, or even a duel and you don't want to run the Seal of the Guild Pact for 2 colors, Jet Medallion, Ruby Medallion, Sapphire, Pearl, Emerald, all those are really great. And they've got a new print, of course, fantastic art in the new Commander 14. After that we've got Conda's Banner. Great legendary creature ability here, giving +1/+1 for creatures that share a type and share a color. Of course I only have 1 legendary creature target, which is Neheb himself. Next we have Mind Stone, just mana and draw, good card, hopefully giving me some options later in the game. We've got the Rakdos Signet, just to add some black and red into the mana pool, empty the hand early on. I'm not a huge fan of Signets, so we'll see how that one turns out. To counter the Jet Medallion, we've got Rude Medallion, making red costs 1 less. I've got a lot more red spells as well, so I'd rather see this one over the Jet Medallion. After that, Urza's Incubator. When it comes into play, choose Minotaur. Creatures you control get cost 2 less to cast. So another way to make things a little bit cheaper. Just hopefully trying to spare myself using all my colored mana early game. And maybe casting a whole bunch of spells for cheap. Warm Power Stone comes in tapped, pay 2 or gets 2 mana, when you tap. Not bad. Door of Destiny is anything you'd use for a tribal deck. I didn't include Coat of Arms. That's one you could definitely include. This one gets bigger as you play Minotaurs, and then Minotaurs get that many counters on them, so definitely a good one here. Next we've got Hedron Archive, just kind of the double Mind Stone. Add 2, draw 2 if you'd like. One other of the kind of cheaty cards in the deck, I've got a Cryptic Gateway. Tap 2 untapped creatures or Minotaurs. I can put a creature card from hand that matches that type. So looking to tap some Minotaurs to get some Minotaurs into play and empty the hand and trigger Neheb. After that we have Staff of Nin. This is another one I wasn't super sure on. Costs a lot. I think it's the 2nd highest cost in the deck. Of course you could draw an extra card, which is good, but that can also hurt Neheb as far as keeping your hand empty, and then dealing 1 to help hopefully deal with a pesky creature or whittle down your opponent. After that, one of our 3 enchantments in the deck, we have War Cadence. This one for 3, red and X. This turn creatures can't block unless their defenders pay X for each blocking creature. So for swinging Minotaurs, hopefully that'll clear the path Just an interesting include there. Next we have Shared Animosity. Whenever a creature I control attacks, it gets +1/+0 until end of turn for each attacking creature that shares a type. So, swinging with the Minotaurs, obviously a good pump there for attacking tribal decks. In red, I guess, too. Another one here. We've got Mana Echoes. Whenever a creature comes into play, I may add a colorless to your mana pool for each creature you control that shares a type. So if I've got 4 Minotaurs, I play a 5th, excuse me, I can get 5 colorless mana onto the board to hopefully cast a 6th or 7th going forward. Into Instance, we've got good old Doomblade. The only deck that I might not be able to play this against is a Patra, depending on what Steve puts in here, but destroy target non-black creature. We've got Terminate, destroy target creature, it can't be regenerated. Chaos Warp, it's a good one to deal with some of the more tricky cards that can't just be destroyed, or they might have some kind of clause where they go to the graveyard, they get something else. So you just want to shuffle it away. They might get something else out of it. I've seen people hit the same thing. Just one of those good cards for red to help deal with some of those problems. Next we've got Sudden Spoiling. Split second, so it's really great. Nobody can react to this. And creatures a target player controls get O2 and lose all abilities. So not bad, especially if you're swinging through with a bunch of beefed up keyworded Minotaurs that are bigger than O2s. So hopefully a good include there, maybe a finisher, depending on what the board state is. Next one of my art includes, we've got Hero's Downfall from Theros block. Destroy target creature, a planeswalker, and of course it's got a Minotaur crushing a guy, so gotta include that one. Next we've got Wild Ricochet. Always a great spell. It'll be interesting to see what the other guys run as far as instants and sorceries I might be able to take control of and get a copy of, but another great spell. Next we have Word of Seizing, a split second, gain control of target permanent, it gains haste until end of turn. It's really great for a big creature or a planeswalker that somebody's trying to be greedy with. I've seen people just totally get unhinged by this card. Just one good target and you can totally take somebody apart. Definitely a good include in red. Next we have Gamble. Of course, search your library for a card, put it in your hand, and discard at random. So kind of a fun one. I'm used to discarding at random. I usually play red, and this is as good as it gets for red tutors. So great card from Urza Saga, and then luckily got a reprint. Just great art too. The second one with some great Minotaur art. There is an old one with some crazy looking ghoul guy in it as well, but Unburden. Target player discards 2 cards, probably going to be me unless somebody else is causing trouble, and then cycling if I need it late game too, and then an awesome Minotaur art there as well. I think nearly done with sorceries. Next we have Relentless Assault. Untap target creature, or untap all target creatures that attacked. There's an additional combat followed by an additional main. This is one direction the deck could go in. You could have a lot of extra combat steps. Similar to like a red-white build, I guess, with like an Aurelia feel. Of course, there's a lot of Relentless Assault effects. I've just included the one as far as cuts, but that's something you can certainly do if you're looking at really aggressive Minotaurs. Oh, and you can hopefully pair it with like War Cadence as well. Making it so your opponent can't block and then untapping and making it so they don't block again is a good idea. Last sorcery here we have Flurry of Horns. Putting a 2/3 Minotaur into the play, and then of course, if you have Neheb online, they could be 4/3 first striking Minotaur tokens for 4. So not bad, definitely cool, and I didn't know there was a Minotaur token either. Definitely neat to see that. After that, we've got our lands. Our first non-basic here, we have Blood Crypt. I'm probably going to be taking 2 most times playing this card, just to get my mana early. It'd be great to play that turn 1 and take 2 and play something, we'll see, but even in the first 3 turns, I'd probably be taking 2 every turn. Or when that comes in, rather, excuse me. Next we have Bajuka Bog. Good responsible graveyard removal card here. Does come in tap, so I'd hopefully want to see it later. Not in an opening hand, and just add black there. Dragon Skull Summit, of course. Just checking to see if you've got a mountain or a swamp. Got an Evolving Wilds here. Just to fix, thin to deck. You know, just a good card. Foreboding Ruins, just looking to reveal a swamp or mountain, and again a dual land. An interesting choice here that I've never seen before. Forsaken City, it's kind of odd. Doesn't untap during your turn. When you, if you'd like, during your upkeep, you can remove a card from the game to untap it, and it taps one of any color. So, my thought here is, normally that'd be a bad thing. Removing your hand isn't so great. But if we're trying to empty our hand out with Neheb, that gives us a reason to do it, and we can play it in our first 3 turns, maybe on our 3rd turn, get our 3rd mana, just throw it in there, play our commander, discard a card. Next turn, we have 4 mana again on turn 4, and it's a good fixer in those first 3, I'd say. As far as filters, Gold Graven Cairns, wonderful art from Shadowmoor. Another great utility land here. We've got Homeward Path. It's a good idea. I don't know if we'll deal with much stealing of creatures, but just another responsible utility land to put in almost any EDH deck. Rakdos Carnarium, I'm not a huge fan of these. The bounce lands, again, they kind of feel like filters, they kind of feel like signets to me. I don't like bouncing land. Of course, it's kind of the same, except you're putting 2 targets in one. Not that anybody's going to do that, I don't think, but just a good one for any dual color deck, even tricolor decks. Just kind of depends on what you feel like. Interesting Dissension utility land here, Rick's Mahdi Dungeon Palace. Pay 1 to add a color, or excuse me, tap to add a colorless, and then a 1 to black and a red, tap. Each player discards a card, played only when you could play a sorcery. Another way to hopefully trigger Neheb, get the hand size down to 1 or none. Next we have Shadow Blood Ridge, kind of a filter land. Of course you don't have your options for double black or double red like you would with the Graven Cairns, but just another include there. Commander 16 reprint. Next we've got Smoldering Marsh. Let's say you have 2 or more basic lands, so hopefully your 3rd turn, play that one, or not worry about your plays early on. Next we have Temple of Malice. Enters battlefield tapped. You can scry 1, of course. Just a good include, especially early game. We move on to Winding Canyons here. Great for using your mana on your opponent's turn as far as giving things flash. And then we go to our basics. The last ones we have, I think we've got 14 mountains in the deck and 9 swamps. So hopefully that's a good mix. I did some math on the mana symbols and distributions and stuff there, including the duels and all that, so hopefully that'll get the trick done. But yeah, that's the deck tech there. Of course, Neheb the Worthy. We'll see the gameplay later this evening and post those guys all together. But yeah, if you have any suggestions, we always like to hear them. We have some great suggestions as far as what to include, because sometimes things get overlooked, especially, like I said, I've never played Black-Red nor Tribal Minotaurs, so there might be something I'm missing. If you notice something or have a suggestion, put it in the comments for us. If you like the video, like, subscribe it, check out some of our other ones. Like I said, we'll have 3 more deck techs in this series, and then game playoff as well. So thanks, and we'll see you then.